hello. Hello, my Homeward family. Welcome to the Homeward Show. Come on in, come on in, come on in. All right. If you are any part of the Homeward family, we watch a million times or one. You know what we do at the beginning of the show. We get good thoughts and we come on in. We share to our page, to our groups, as long as it's according to the rules of the groups. And we share, and like. So come on. Today we're going to be talking about community involvement in this whole back to school series. This is the fifth and final series episode. So we're going to be talking about community involvement. So I need you to come on in. And I need you, if you are part of the Hope More Facebook family, I just want you to come on and click like so that you can be a part of any announcement that goes out about the show, as well as if you're on the Hope More YouTube channel, if you would please click that bell so you can subscribe and get notice anytime come on. So when you come on, please go ahead and just give me a shout out, say hello, tell me where you're watching from, whether you're watching live or replay. I want to hear from you. And actually, today's show is going to be really interactive because this is discussion. It is not a tell-all and tell you what to do and I not do it myself, but it's some ideas that I have as we look at ways that we can support our students. So I need you to spread the love, share this episode on your social media page and groups, pushing the like for the Hope More Facebook page, and also clicking the bell on our Hope More YouTube channel. So I'm going to do what I have just instructed you guys to do, and I'm about to share to my page. How's everybody doing? This wonderful hump day, they like to call it. I like to call it Hope Day because we don't do humps around here. And the reason why we go by Hope More, which is lowercase HOPE, uppercase MORE, one word, is because all you need is a little bit of hope to expect more of life. Hope itself means confident expectations or aspirations. So you have to feel that confidence when you come on, not because you're amazing, but because God is amazing. His light is on you and his desire is for it to prosper as our soul prospers. So, okay, have me on. So let me share. Sometimes I forget to share to my own page, talking to me off. Come on. All right. Okay. Sometimes it's so funny. Sometimes it lets me share easily, and other times it gives me a chance, a little strange. So, like I said, if you're watching live or replay, please post down. Hello, where are you from? If you're a parent, tell me if you're a parent. Tell me how your school year is going, because we're hoping for great things in this school year. The world is going so crazy, and we have to grab hold by the horns when we can. Let me see if I can post this link. Post. There we go. Wow. Okay, great. I like this little music they got on it today. Wonderful. So today we're talking about community covering back to school. So in the last few weeks, we've discussed a lot of different things, and I've had some really great guests on. The first week, we had my besties on from college who are both parents, one of 4 people, one of 3. Both of them have college sophomores as well as high school seniors in their group. And we talked about praying over our children. We're covering our new school year with prayer. The second week, we talked about financing and ensuring successful finances for college. And you can start in kindergarten. Some people say preschool. You can start in kindergarten. You don't have to wait till their 11th or 12th grade year. Start putting in their mind the kind of things they need to look for, the kind of opportunities they need to be open to try, like sports, arts, government, public speaking, that can lead them to successful scholarships and endowments for college. The third week, we talked about safety covering, and I had opportunity to talk to Deputy Choo Choo about what often school resource deputies have to do at their schools in order to ensure safety. So we talked about that, and that was really important, particularly because from bullying to mass school shootings, the security of school, the safety measures of school means more than it ever has been before. And last week, we talked about, what did we talk about last week? Oh my gosh. we talked about legal protections for parents and students, the ideas of what you can do to implement as a parent to lower liability, because nowadays people are not just letting you bully their children. You may be hit with a lawsuit for damages, for psychological distress. You could be also involved with something dealing with property damage and just different things that parents and students should relate to. And that was a really good show last week that we had, and my legal intern, legal eagle, Natalia Yarborough, shared some of her research on the topic. And so today, our final and fifth episode, we're talking about community covering back to school. I'm calling it community covering. If you notice, everything's covering: prayer covering, financial covering, legal covering. Is that at the end of the day, as a community, we have an obligation to protecting our students. And that's whether you're a parent or not. Listen, I raised my hand first. I am not a parent. I've had the opportunity of help raising my nephew during a critical part of his life, especially during high school. And I've had, some influences over my friends' children and my godchildren, but I don't dare say that I know what it is to be a parent. However, whether you're a parent or just a person who is involved and have a person you care about, everybody, I say everybody, is responsible for making our schools better. And there's all kinds of ways that you can. Some people even say, well, my primary way of supporting schools as a community is paying my property taxes. Amen. Please pay your taxes, because it does make a difference in funding and what budgets are available for such worthwhile causes like educating our children. But I want to talk about today ways the community can support students. And it's very interesting. There's a lot of collective corporate partnerships that people can get involved in big cities. I right now live in a small town. Not that there's not opportunities, and there is industry in this town. So there are opportunities, and there are things that are happening where you have like a huge corporation or a mid-sized corporation partnering with the school to do something, partnering with Boys and Girls Club to do something. What I'm going to focus on in this show is sort of like reminiscent of what inspired me and made me feel supported as a student, especially K through 12, and then repeat that, and how can we support in those ways today. So I'm particularly coming from a small town view, but also from being a person who has received benefits from community coming in and covering me and helping me be more successful as both a student and an adult in the future, or preparing my future for adulthood. So we are going to talk, and like I said, it's going to be a little bit of reminiscing. So I was thinking about in ways the community can support students. I was thinking about myself and how when I was very young, and my mom being a teacher, my parents both working in ministry at the time, just, evangelists in the church, I looked up to the adults around me, and I really took my cues from what I could be by not just my parents and the teachers, but the people who would come in, the people who would create programs for the community, the people who would give me an encouraging word. And that's the kind of stuff I want to talk about. So let's talk about it. I got only 7 things I was going to talk about. 7 ways the community can be involved. One, it sounds so simple because it is. You look at opportunities to volunteer at school. And again, whether you're a parent or not, schools are needing volunteers. As long as you can basically pass a background check, you can volunteer at school. And there's different opportunities. For instance, I recently was posting about our resource officer show or safety in schools, and someone noted that a resource officer of one of the schools noted on my post that they need reading volunteers for like the primary schools. And then someone in the middle school was like, well, we need volunteers too. There's always opportunities to have volunteers. And I was like, okay, so reading volunteer, they need someone who would come in and read to the students. I think that's a great opportunity. So many people feel like it has to be you have to have an education degree basically to be helpful in the school system, but sometimes they just want you to do a day of reading, an hour of reading, and you can commit to as much or as little as you can possibly fit in your schedule. Number two, mentor youth, official and unofficial. Now, this is one of my favorite things, whether it's a short-term externship like I've just had with my legal eagle who's in college now, or it's working with a group of graduating seniors and talking to them about scholarships and like researching and praying with them about their next step goals. There's opportunity to mentor youth. Now listen, I say official and unofficial because here's the thing. There are different programs. I believe even in Perry, Florida, where I live, there's a character program and they do have structured mentorship opportunities. And when I was a part of it last year, you met students at lunch and during the lunch day. So if your job did not really fit well with that kind of program, you're missing out opportunities. But that's a very structured program that helps and it has a goal for that semester to help a student go from one point to another in their grades, in their character, in their understanding of the world. But let's not forget unofficial mentoring. It may be you work for something that's often on the weekends or evenings and you see that there's some youth who's interested in what you do. Get permission from the parents and relatively make sure it's safe. You may need a assumption of risk waiver, but have that kid join you. I think about the Trinity funeral service in Perry, Florida. There is a young man at actually, I hope it is, or is it Walker's? I think it's Trinity, but either way, it's a funeral service provider, and they have a teenager who I think now going on 2 or maybe 3 years, he assists. At first, he was just helping out. But now he has some other people with him and he's learning public speaking. He's learning customer service. Could you imagine teenagers being very professional and equipped to help people in some of the worst grieving times of their life? That is mentorship. He's learning a lot, regardless if he ever wants to be a funeral director or not. But the skills that he's learning just at first by tagging along now is acting as a professional mentorship. So it could be also unofficial, but just make sure you have parents' permission and that it's relatively safe. We need our children to know that there's, other opportunities or other opportunities that they may not otherwise be accessible to by just saying, hey, come work along with me. Do what I do. Number 3, involve civic groups. Now, a lot of us who are part of civic groups often have programming goals for the year. Find a way, if you can, to get your civic group involved with something that benefits the youth or the school. If they're doing, for instance, Domestic Violence Awareness Month, which is in October, maybe they want in there to have an intimate partner session at a high school to talk to kids about healthy dating and unhealthy dating habits that could lead to violence. If that group is doing that awareness, then you can join with the dual purpose of something that would benefit youth and students and have them involved, and you got 2 for the price of 1. So involve your civic groups. Often we are used to, and I'll get to that part, having kids participate in things relating to church, athletics, but we should also consider professional development, as well as maybe different things in entertainment or just, different aspects. It could be Georgia Pacific, which deals with the forestry industry and pulp creation, which is basically the bedrock of most products like our toothpaste and diapers. We should get them in there and they should have something to do with students. I remember as a high school student being a part and having involvement with the women's club, because the women's club of Perry sponsored the Little Women's group in Perry. So that was a way for that civic group to also reach out, and it changed my life. It was a definite great way of sort of having this community, another community of women who were successful homemakers, business women who had an interest in high school students. So involve your civic groups. That's a great, great way of the community supporting students. Number 4, plan a community event. You know what I love? And we didn't really have a lot of back to school events in the 80s and early 90s. I don't ever remember going to a back to school community event, but now it's sort of mainstay. A lot of churches do it. Sometimes like the school itself does it, or there's a grant through the state. But what I really have been really amazed at is how many private citizens are just like, I'm going to throw like this little carnival outside in our yard and give away things for students. That's wonderful. That is a great opportunity for the community to go ahead and support students, whether it's, free haircuts and different vaccinations or whatever that can be done, free reviews of dentistry, shoes, backpacks. Those are great ways to be a part of supporting students. And you don't have to do a big old at the school, but there may be other community events that you see a need of. It may be going to support the football team, or going to support the band in their big championship band competition. There's so many things that are out there. And if you wanted to support students, you can plan a community event. And some people prefer that because it's one and done. It may take a lot of work, but once it's there is completed and you're like, okay, great, I did this thing to help at this time, and that's what I committed to, and that's what I've done. So I know when I was growing up, I loved community events. My mother founded an organization called Taylor Interdenominational Christian Outreach, and I would love to see her do events. Like she would do a Jesus rally here, she would do a rap session with high school students talking about purity, talking about sex. Like literally, I was like in elementary school, like sitting in, listening. Like my mom loved doing community events with young people. And I just always appreciated how she like invested in that. So your community event could be something like what happened last year or this past spring. A group of people got together and decided they were going to create a committee to celebrate Juneteenth. And they did a pageant. They had a day of celebration. That was a huge marker, being that this is our second year having Juneteenth as a national holiday. It's just because some people got together and said, we're going to do this. And it did definitely focused on family and youth. So plan a community event. Start a community outreach. Now, unlike a community event, even if it's a couple of days or a season, it usually has a start and a culmination. When I'm talking about starting a community outreach, it's going to take some dedication, because this is something that you may want to sustain ongoing. And let me tell you, I was really, really, really amazed when I thought about my childhood. There were so many outreaches I was a part of, not just religious. I was a part of causes like Pride. Anybody from Perry part of Pride? I think it was Parents Resource and Drug Education or something. But literally, it changed my life. We sang, we danced, we did skits, all about drug awareness. And that opportunity took us all over the country. Literally had us opportunity to go to national conventions. I met people from all over the world. And it was like a part of a community outreach to help educate youth on drugs and the effects of drug use, to hopefully prevent as well as educate them. But it was also fun. It was so much fun. And being a part of that outreach and having the t-shirts and going to rehearsals, it was just really, really cool. I don't really see a lot of those opportunities right now. And I know lately, since I've been back to my hometown, there's nothing quite like that was. And I don't know if it's just that people are not interested, or that the generations are different. They're not into that, or maybe someone hasn't had the time to consider. But I want to think about those type of opportunities, things that are long lasting, or at least it has an impact. Maybe it's 4 years, 5 years, but you're in it for a lot longer than just a community event. So community outreach, I mean, I love, and I have been thinking about like what Hope More would love to do as far as a community outreach that would support youth in our community. And I'm going to give you some, I want you guys to vote by the end of the show. So if you're listening live or on a replay, put down in the comments what you would vote for. But Hope More deals with justice, deals with family, and the light. And the light is the light of the Lord. And so I was thinking, and I have been in bits and pieces involved with parts of this community outreach goals for my life, just personally, whether it's setting up a Boys and Girls Club in Mayo or working with youth at somebody's vacation Bible school. But I have really been thinking about what community outreach do I want to create. And maybe because I come from the lineage of Chester and Carolyn Demps, and they're always involved with coming up with something. But I've been thinking about a choir, a youth choir. I've been thinking about a debutante cotillion, and I've been thinking about some type of cause or awareness group. Not all three at the same time, because I don't have the time. I don't somewhat have the time for one. But I was just trying to think what community outreach could make an impact on a number of students that's very meaningful. When I told you guys about Pride. That's an example of a cause and an outreach. Maybe it would be focusing on drug awareness, meth, fentanyl, all the dangers that have come in this sort of like new wave of drugs. I don't say it would match what Pride did. It could also be a awareness cause for kids knowing their rights, knowing how to interact with police. There's all kinds of causes that youth would probably be interested in. Going backwards, debutante cotillion. I was a debutante my senior year in high school, as well as I was part of a pageant that really focused on, godly character, really focused on, what is it called? Etiquette and hospitality, public speaking, grace. And I was so impacted by that. And even though the cotillion was focused on the debutante, every debutante would have an opportunity to have an escort. So we included males too. And I just think it's a great way of, ending a young student's last year in high school. It is traditionally called the coming out. Now you're ready to date. And I know that's very dated, but there is something about parents presenting and women, young women, as well as men, because there could be even one in that same continuum where they have their own coming out or almost rites of passage opportunity. So I've been thinking about that. And last but not least, I've been thinking, well, you know what? One great way to touch different ages and different sexes and different classes, different races, could be doing a choir, whether it's 5 people or 20 people, doing a choir, having rehearsals, having people sing together and worship together and get to know each other is a really great way of bringing unity. And I know some of this sounds so dated, like, do people do youth choirs outside of their church anymore? If y'all were in the 80s and 90s, you probably remember, what was that song? Jesus is real. I know the Lord is real to me. I can feel it in my hands, feel it in my soul. For I know, you could tell me that youth choir was not the bomb. So I'm thinking about doing either a community choir, debutante cotillion, or some type of cause awareness group sometime by 2023. So let me know below what things you think which of the three do you think would be a good idea or something you want to see, particularly if you're in Taylor County, Florida, where I live. And if you want to volunteer, feel free to say that too or inbox me. Number 6, and I only have 2 more. Encourage youth ministry and church participation. Now, I told you, like, we deal with the family, justice, and the light of God. So when I say encourage youth ministry, most churches have youth ministry, or like my church, maybe you don't have a lot of youth. So this is a great opportunity to do outreach. And I'm convicted, even as I'm saying this, we need to encourage more youth ministry. And as we're encouraging youth ministry, we should encourage kids participating in church, in leadership. I remember as a kid being Sunday school secretary or being the president of like a little group at the church. I remember learning how to direct choirs in my church. I love to do the biggest speeches at church because, I would be like 6 years old wanting to do a 2-page speech. And it's not unusual that many people get their start of even what they may do professionally from their experience as youth in church. Think about Oprah Winfrey. She loved the church growing up. That's where she learned elocution. That's where she did her speeches. And so we need to really encourage our youth to participate more. And I know the trend is, especially if your church is large enough, to do the youth ministry separate from the adult ministry, which has so many pluses. But when you have joint gatherings or have youth being entrusted with programming that also is in the presence of adults, you would not believe how much confidence they give them. They're doing the opening prayer, they're doing praise and worship, not just to their peers, but to their parents and to the adults. It really builds them up. Now, some may say, what does that have to do with back to school? But the school the school is a place, it's only one partner in the whole bag of partners that are needed to help raise a child. What do we say? It takes a village to raise a child. So you teach a child to be confident in saying leading praise and worship or doing the prayer, and they become very good at that. They get used to what they're doing and the confidence of their ability to speak. Don't you know that will translate in their school? That would translate when they have an assignment to do a speech or to do a reading or to speak up. It translates. I know it did for me. I know that I would be totally different if I did not, as a youth, if I had not been as a youth encouraged to be a part of youth ministry and to lead where adults also led, and like be in regular Bible studies and ask questions. And it just really taught me that my mind was strong and that my opinion was warranted. So I really thank God for having parents as well as a church that was available to do that. So don't just send your kids to youth church, or have them just sit there and wait till graduation to move on. Get them involved, let them grow. And the last, support graduating seniors. This is a great way for the community to support. I say I love things like Dreamers Endures here in Perry, Florida, that is hosted or sponsored by, or should I say led by, the great lady Flora Woodfall. I think it's great. Not only, I think it's middle school and high school, but mostly high school students. But we really, really do a great end of the year celebration for our graduating seniors. And I think that is so important. Our kids need to know that they have a community pushing them forward. We're not going to cry because you move on, you go to school out of state or decide to go work out of the country, or even stay at home. We are excited and supporting the idea that you are now being sort of like flung out to the heavens because your wings are strong and you're very capable. It's a great time to help seniors who may not feel like college is the next round for them. Maybe they're interested in trade school. Maybe they're interested in something that doesn't even hit you as necessary. Maybe they feel like they need a gap year. Support them, help them even in that gap year. And those of you who know, a gap year, you're not going to college, you're not necessarily going to training, you're trying to find yourself, but you can help that gap year student. Like, okay, so what's the plan? You're going to take a year off and then you're going to start school. Okay, so you need to look at scholarship still, or do you want to get admitted and have it just them hold your admission? Why don't you go ahead and do that? Because you don't want to have to, after a year of being used to being in school, take all the exams and stuff then. Or are you going to work? Okay, if you're not going to work, what are you going to do for money? Because mom and dad are probably not trying to pay for you. Help them, support them. One of my favorite things I've had the opportunity to do in the last couple of years is to have sort of like a collegiate council of a few people from a few states of friends' children who are graduating. Like, hey, how can I help you? How can I pray for you? What are you excited about? What are you fearful of? Because this is often our last touch as children that the community can give to the kids. Now we know 18, 19, 20, 21, they're still kids, but you know what I mean? I remember the people who spoken in my life. I remember Miss Brasby, Miss Woodfall, Miss Rollins, Miss Granger. I remember them speaking into my life and say, like, you're going to go far, you're going to do well. Mr. McLaughlin, I remember the community speaking to me my senior year and really, really encouraging me that wherever I went, I was representing Taylor County and going to do a great job. Supporting graduating seniors is a great opportunity for the community to support our students. So those are just 7 quick ways to consider your participation as a community member, how you can support our students. And I think we would think even when you don't have children, in particular when you don't have children, it's a great time to invest, because I hope to be a mom in some years, and I want to invest in the idea that there'll be other people investing in my children when it's my turn, or that when my cousins or my niece who's now in middle school, when she gets to high school, there'll be people who will be rooting her on, and that my nephew who's now at University of Pittsburgh, Jacorius, the second born of my brother, he's on a track scholarship at University of Pittsburgh. That, these are investments, because that's how the kingdom works, right? The kingdom does not work like you only invest in you and you're only blessed. When you are faithful in another man's vineyard, God will give you rulership. You're faithful over little. And also the kingdom works like whatever you need, you should seed, right? That's not in the scripture like that, but whatever you need, you should seed. So even if you are not a parent, or your child is young, or your child is an adult, continue to consider ways to support and cover this school year and students in it, even if it's one event, volunteering once, or encouraging, finding that one graduating senior and keeping them on your mind as you pray for them, as you call and encourage them, as you maybe throw a little money in their Cash App, you know what I mean? So these are ways that you can have an impact that I think that so many people in the community may forget we could do and have a great impact. So again, you guys, Hope More is on a quest to figure out what our community outreach is going to be going into 2023. So I need everyone to vote. Give me your opinion. A community youth choir, a debutante cotillion that includes both aspects of etiquette, character development, and some pageantry, or some type of cause or awareness group, like, drug awareness. And I say group because I will hope the activities will include something really creative, whether it's YouTube skits, performing, doing songs, something that's interactive for youth to be excited about being a part of. If you could choose one of those three things, what would you suggest? I know I'm leaning towards the youth choir because I feel like the commitment is different, but the ability to have everyone work together may be easier, but I don't know. So let me know below. So this is our 5th and final episode of our back to school. I pray that this school year be the best school year ever. I pray that our children are safe, not just in their schools from hurt and harm, but from disease, from trauma, and even just the idea of the anxiety. These kids are feeling anxiety and being impacted in a way that we can almost sound insensitive, generation Xers, because we're like, okay, so you scared, so you can't go to class, you can't finish this assignment, you can't compete in this thing you've been training for. But I'm glad people are being more sensitive. But at the same time, these kids are going through some things that we just don't understand. We don't know what it's like to grow up from kindergarten on with everything on Facebook and social media. We don't know what that's like. And we don't know, with the expectation of perfection and filtered selfies, what kind of pressure that puts on our kids. So I think we would do our kids a great service. Our kids, that's right, our kids a great service as a community to be involved with some aspect of the school year to make sure that we're doing what we can to contribute to their success. Because here's the truth. I don't have no children, and I will hopefully one day, but even if I don't, these youngsters are going to be going to be in office, going to be running companies, who are going to be determining what to do with my Social Security. I need them to be strong. I need them to have character. I need them to be successful, to love human beings and know that they can share and be loved because they were loved and they were cared for. So it also has a reasonable exchange, profit loss. We need to invest in them so they will continue to invest in the world that they're hoping to inherit. So I love you guys so much. This is a little shorter than our last shows have been, but we are just thinking only good and positive thoughts and sending only good and positive support to our kids, our teachers, our administrators, our parents, our bus drivers, our lunchroom workers, our resource officers, our school deans, our, did I say principals already? The para pros, to just everybody, people in special ed, the coaches, the cheerleading leaders, just everybody. And if I forgot you, please, the dance team moms, like, we're just wishing everyone a great year. We know the last 3 years have been really dicey for schools, but we're praying that this year would be phenomenal and make up for all that may have seemed like a loss since 2020. All right, now you all have a great day, and remember, share, and post below. Bye-bye. It doesn't want to go off. This is hilarious.